everyone, and thank you for joining us. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Today's session will be called Equipping the Next Generation of Open Source Developers. And we have organizers from the Canadian Open Source Projects Program, CANOSP here, as well as from IBM. And with that, I'll let everyone sort of introduce themselves. So I'll go first. So my name is Catherine Kodema. I work at IBM under IBM Cloud and Cognitive, and I've been involved in a number of open source projects. Specifically, the one you'll hear about today has been the language server for Jakarta EE, and I've been involved with the Canadian Open Source Projects Program as a project mentor for the past year and a bit. And I'll pass it over to Kareem.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karim Ali. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Alberta, Edmonton, Canada. I've been involved with CANOSP since its inception a couple of years ago, along with Jeff. And I've been involved also with open source projects, not just within the CANOSP umbrella, but also outside of CANOSP. As I will say later on, a few words about the prior program, UCOSP, as well as other personal contributions to open source projects.
I'm Jeff. I am also one of the CANOSP organizers, along with Kareem. We've been running this program for a few years, and I'm also a master's candidate at the University of Alberta in the Maple Lab.
Hi, everyone. I'm YK. It's great to be here. I'm from IBM, and I'm a developer, advocate, and an architect, and also I work with the CANOS program as well as the Eclipse LSP4Jakarta project.
So maybe like just a few words about the CANOSP program and what we do actually there. So CANOSP stands for the Canadian or Canada Open Source Projects, and it's an academic program that Jeff and I started back in 2019, where it connects top students from across Canadian universities to work together in distributed fashion on open source projects over the course of a single semester. And there are various participating organizations, project organizations, where we have project mentors, like Catherine and YK here. So we have participating organizations such as the Eclipse Foundation, AdoptOpenJDK, IBM and Mozilla, Review Board, the Keyman Institute, and we have been so far successful in having 3 participating institutions across the country in Canada: University of Alberta, University of British Columbia, UBC, and McGill University, where we had students from all these 3 institutions, along with project mentors from all these project organizations to work together throughout the semester to work on a project. So just a few words about the history of CANOSP. So CANOSP is not actually the first program that we have in the country here that does something like that. Prior to CANOSP, we had its spiritual successor, UCOSP, the undergraduate capstone open source projects. And this program ran out of the University of Toronto. It started back in 2008. It ran for about 10 years or so until 2018. It had, for some reasons, the program was terminated in 2018, and we had many students, not just from the University of Alberta, but from other universities, reaching out to us and saying, like, we really like this program, we want to have something similar to it, and we would like it if somebody else would take over, perhaps, and establish some other initiative that tries to achieve the same goals. And we have also had some requests from project mentors. I was actually one of the project mentors at UCOSP a few years ago myself, and I had a few discussions with Jeff, and we decided that, well, it might be a good idea to just start another initiative and start off capitalize again on the momentum that this program had. So we had our first iteration of CANOSP in the fall of 2019 at Startup Edmonton, here in Edmonton, Alberta, and you can see a few of the pictures from that first iteration of CANOSP there. We had about 8 students. We started small, and it was all University of Alberta students, but we started branching out to other institutions in Canada, like UBC and McGill University. So in winter 2020, we had about 12 students. That was still all U Alberta students, but then we started branching out in fall 2020. But then we moved from having everything in person and having our code sprint event that starts the semester in Startup Edmonton to having everything virtual, as most things in the world occurred in the fall of 2020. But since the program started, we were very happy to have worked with about 77 students from across the board, from 4 universities, and they have completed their CANOS program in the past few cohorts that we have had so far. And we have had projects from Mozilla, from IBM, from Beanbag, Review Board, Cayman, the Predictive Text Studio. We have had a few projects from the OMR team from IBM, and so on and so forth. And we have also had a very successful relationship with our fellow institutions here in Canada, McGill University, UBC, and we are planning to branch out to also include other institutions in the future as well.
So CANOSP runs in the fall semester from September to December, and in the winter semester from January to April. And this is roughly what the process looks like for each semester. So before the start of the semester, each university that offers CANOSP opens up their application process, which is administrated by that specific faculty mentor. And these applications can look different at each institutions. The general requirements for the program include an upper-level software engineering course and a competitive overall GPA. And institutions or faculty mentors may set their own requirements on top of that. At CANOS, we're looking for students who will get the most out of the program and those who show initiative and drive in their studies. And we usually accept 5 to 10 students from each institution per semester. So concurrent to the student applications, we take in applications from potential free and open source software projects for mentors who want to partner with the program. And these projects can change from cohort to cohort depending on availability and fit. So we onboard any new incoming projects, reconfirm any ongoing projects from previous semesters, and we've been extremely lucky to be able to partner with great projects and mentors like Language Server for Eclipse Jakarta EE. So once we've confirmed all the projects and received all the student nominations, the CANOS review the nominations and finalize the cohort members. The students who are accepted review the projects offered for the semester and rank them in terms of their preference. And those are taken into consideration when we assign students to the projects. Then about a week before the semester begins, students are given their project assignments and linked up with their mentors who give them their starting materials. So this could be background information to review, frameworks to learn, tools to install, and so on. And this all builds up to about the second weekend of the semester, which is when we hold the code sprint from Friday to Sunday, where mentors and students meet face-to-face. Of course, during the pandemic, it's virtual via Zoom, as Kareem mentioned, and everyone begins hacking on their first tasks for the project. So it ends up being a really jam-packed weekend. It flies by really quickly and helps to set the tone and the pace of work for the entire semester. On Sunday, we get everybody back together, and the students from each team present on what they've learned, what they worked on during the code sprint, and what their plans are for the remainder of the semester. From the code sprint to the end of the semester, students work on their projects under the direction of their team mentors. Each team holds weekly progress meetings to keep track of tasks and velocity, and there's also formal feedback given to the students from the project mentors around the middle of the term. This lets students know how they've been performing so far, any concerns that the mentors might have, reinforcement for the great work they've done so far, and suggestions or words of encouragement for the remainder of the semester. Also new this semester are social nights on the third Friday of each month. You see them here in October, February, November, March. And this is just to help folks to hang out, network, play games online, because the socialization and networking aspect of this program has been difficult during the pandemic. So we're trying some new things to help make that better. Then finally, at the end of the semester, the whole cohort comes back together for the final presentations from each of the projects, covering what they've accomplished and learned over the semester. And then students are given their final feedback from their project mentors in the same style as the midterm feedback, and they are assigned a final grade from their faculty mentor.
All right, thanks, Jeff. So next, I'm just going to speak to some of the benefits that we found from a project perspective and also benefits that this program serves to the students. So from an open source projects perspective, one of the most obvious benefits is that we get new contributors. So through the CANOS program, we've had anywhere from 3 to 6 students contributing per semester. And so that sort of leads into the next point, which is we then gain continuous and active development. So, the project's not stale, it's always kept up to date. and we have that continuous development going. Part of this is also increased community awareness. So not only is the project sort of increased in awareness among the student population, but also as part of the program, at least for the Eclipse Jakarta EE language server project, we've also had the students give Jakarta Tech Talks or presentations for the community that would care about the project. So that raises community awareness as well. And then open source projects also have that community give back. So from our perspective, as developers, we're giving back to the open source project community by, mentoring students who will then become the next developers and encouraging future developers to contribute to open source software. Then moving over to students, so some of the benefits students gain from this program. So they have an introduction into open source development with opportunities to discuss with project mentors or maintainers one-on-one. So often, we hear that students have never contributed to open source projects. Maybe, they're afraid of the barrier to entry. So this just sort of minimizes that and gives them a more structured way to start contributing. And also, if they have any questions, they have direct access to project mentors and maintainers to help them out. They also develop their technical skills. Unlike some of their other courses, perhaps this is sort of more concrete because they'll be working on a real project. So, they develop skills for technologies they may never have experienced before or heard about, and they can sort of see how that works within the community and how other developers sort of consume those projects. They also expand their professional networks by meeting with the project maintainers and mentors, and also meeting with the other students in the CANOSP program, especially because they are coming from different universities. They might not have had that chance to meet before. And also because those universities are all across Canada and these students are sort of about to graduate in their last few semesters, they can expand their network through that. And also Kareem mentioned briefly or touched upon this briefly before, but experience working in a distributed environment. So especially with the current climate, working virtually has become this skill that is quite necessary. So, being able to collaborate online across teams with people in various time zones. Students, are based all over Canada. So having that sort of skill to collaborate either Slack or GitHub issues or during the weekly team meetings, that's definitely a skill that they gain and can use going forward.
Thanks, Catherine. And on that note, I think it's a good idea to summarize perhaps some of the lessons that we have learned throughout organizing CANOSP and even previously during my participation at UCOSP itself. A few of the things that I've noticed over the years is that students coming in and participating in CANOSP or similar initiatives, they learn quite quickly, like how to manage their time better. Because they come into the project, they come into the course, and some of them would start treating it as a regular course like they would do. So that has like concrete assignments, concrete midterms, concrete exams. But this is not the case in a CANOSP semester. Like things have to be a bit more managed by the student themselves because they are the ones that are going to collaborate with the project mentors and the support that they have from the project mentors to choose what problems they're going to be working on and the schedule of delivering solutions to these problems, which is quite different than the typical assignments, midterms, final exam kind of setup that they have in a course. That's why open communication between students and their project mentors and their colleagues is really, really important. And this is one of the things that I tell students at every single code sprint event that we've had so far. Be open in communicating whatever concerns or issues that you might have. You are attending a conference, you have other reasons that might, for example, you might be able not to spend all the time during the code sprint with your teams. You need to reach out to them and tell them that beforehand. If you're not going to be able to make a certain deadline or a certain date of submitting an issue or a solution to an issue with your project mentors and colleagues, you need to tell them that because then you can work things out and you don't have to set any false expectations or fall short on expectations that both sides would set during the project. One other thing that also students and project mentors also learn really quickly throughout the whole program is that we need to embrace diverse skill sets. because students come from different universities, probably different years in their programs, in their various programs. Each one would have a different set of skills, different set of interests. Some of them might be interested in web development and front-end development. Others might be interested in low-level development. Others might be interested in human-computer interaction. Others would be interested in compilers. So there is a wide range of skills and diverse skill sets that both project mentors have to deal with. And that kind of, to me, that kind of helps in creating a healthy community around these open source projects, because then you are more receptive to people contributing to the project with having a diverse skill set than a typical developer who is working day in and day out on the project. And the other thing that both students and project mentors also learn to work on together is working in an agile development. This is going to be an iterative effort throughout the whole semester. Again, this is from a student perspective, this is different than what they would see even in a course-heavy project, where they would get requirements at the beginning of the course. They would work together towards having a design document or the design or the architecture of the system. They go ahead and disappear for a few weeks, work on the implementation of the project, and they show up at the end of the semester demoing the project to their professors or their TAs. This is not how it works in CANOSP. These are real projects. These are projects used by thousands, if not millions of people out there that has their own development cycle, that has their own requirements. And it's the real world that students get a chance to have a glimpse at during the time of this course. And again, also with project mentors and the extreme help and support that they provide to the students throughout the whole semester, which we're all grateful here for. They learn how to embrace all these students into their projects and onboard them into the project so that they can contribute at their best by the end of the semester.
So let's take a look at an example of one of the projects that we have that we've been collaborating through, I guess, through the CANOSP program, which is Eclipse LSP4Jakarta. So Jakarta EE is a sort of it's a working group under the Eclipse Foundation and an effort at looking at defining the next set of open cloud native Java APIs for Java developers, right? And the Eclipse LSP4Jakarta project is looking at building a language server for developers using Jakarta EE APIs. So that's the project that we have here, and we've been working with Kareem and Jeff through the CANOSP program for 3 terms now, right? So since the early days of the projects, if I may add. So we've been grateful to have be able to partner with CANOPS and have students working with us on the project. And it's been a mutually beneficial collaboration, right? So the students gain the benefits and the experience that we've discussed earlier. At the same time, for the project itself, we have new contributors and even committers on the projects through the CANOPS program, and where we can continue to collaborate and work on and evolve the technologies for Eclipse LSP4Jakarta here, right? So it's been great, and yes, we've been through teams of students, right? Since it's been 3 terms, and different sort of students will bring different backgrounds and experience. It's been wonderful working on it, not only to see the contributions and commits from the students into the project itself, but at the same time also, I think the students from what we've gathered from them, they have benefits from the experience gaining the kind of real world open source development experience that they don't usually get in school. At the same time, they get exposure to that in a real sense, of concrete manner, and also they get to, as Catherine was saying earlier, they did actually present their contributions, their results, if you will, to the community itself, right, through different tech talks and so on and so forth. So it's been great actually for us to have the opportunity to collaborate with the CANOPS program for our project here. So yeah, so that's sort of what we have in mind to share with you all about how we see the value in through CANOPS and a program like CANOPS in equipping the next generation of developers.
Although CANOSP is a fairly young program, we've already seen some great success and been contacted by former alumni with updates. We have one example above here, Catherine Patenio, who was an alumna of the Winter 2020 cohort of CANOSP. She was on the review board project, and she says, through my participation at CANOSP, my involvement with review board, and in fact, through my connection with one of my mentors at review board, I find myself today as a software engineer at Mozilla. It is an experience I'm still grateful and thankful for to this day. If you're interested in her whole sort of experience, you can see the full video at the link below there, bit.ly/canosp-success. We've had students in previous cohorts also get great opportunities with their project teams. So like Catherine and YK mentioned, they've been able to present at Jakarta Tech Talks as well as IBM Think Friday session about their work and the CANOSP experience. And we also have former students who went through the open source projects programs like UCOSP and CANOSP, who are now project mentors. Kareem mentioned that he was also a mentor for CANOSP, for UCOSP, and I was also a mentor and a student with the UCOSP program. And I think having that hands-on with open source development was really, really eye-opening. And you know, as CANOSP continues to build and grow, we continue to seek new opportunities for students to get them not only involved in, but excited about open source projects and hopefully ignite a lifelong passion. So we welcome you to learn more about CANOSP or get involved with your free and open source software project. You can go to canosp.ca for more information about the CANOSP program, including past semesters and student presentation videos. And you can check out canosp.ca/mentors for information about how to apply and be a project partner. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us via email or Twitter.
All right, hello everyone. So we're taking questions now. So our first question is, how can my open source project participate in the program? What's involved and how difficult or easy is it for us to participate?
I'll take that one. We are always looking for more projects, and it's pretty easy. Just go to our website, canosp.ca. You'll see a page there up top in the menu for project mentors. And there is a Google form that you just need to fill out that would just say a few words about your project, what kind of skill sets you would need from people participating in your project. And we go through these according to the timeline that Jeff described a few minutes ago before each semester so that we can see what are the projects that would be participating in the upcoming semester. So it's a pretty easy process, just a one short Google form. And we look at all the projects there regularly.
Great, thanks, Kareem. The next question is, do you anticipate expanding the program to more schools?
I can also take that one as well. Yes, we have been in talks with at least 2 or 3 other schools in the country here in Canada to expand the program to, and we are confident that in the upcoming semester and upcoming years, we're going to have more institutions involved in CANOSP as well.
Great. Our next question is, do you provide training to the students, for example, GitHub use, continuous integration, or soft skills like project management, communication, before they start contributing to the projects?
I think there are 2 parts to the questions here. So maybe I'll ask Kareem and Jeff to answer from their standpoint, from an academic standpoint or academic program standpoint, and then we can chime in, Catherine and myself, from the I guess the project standpoint, right? So.
Sure. From the perspective of CANOSP as a program overall, we don't provide any sort of specific training, especially because it can be very different in terms of what kinds of tools and pipelines are used from project to project. But part of what we try to do when we admit students to the program is to make sure that they have enough of a software engineering background, whether that's through formal courses that they've taken at university or through internships that they've done in the industry, so that they have at least a basic understanding of how to use distributed development tools, things like continuous integration, and they can get up to speed with that project, hopefully over the code sprint.
Catherine, do you want to chime in from the project standpoint first, and then I'll add to whatever I can. So.
Yeah, for sure. So from the project standpoint, as Jeff was talking about, when we looked at the timeline, there is the kickoff code sprint at the beginning of each semester. So from a project mentor standpoint, that's when we kind of set time aside to teach them how to use GitHub or any continuous integration tools the project may need. And then kind of that's the formal training. And as they submit pull requests or go about contributing, that's sort of where some of the other skills come in. And of course, the project mentors will help them if needed for any of those skills.
Right. So there is a part of it is learn as you go. It's like learning on the job and learn as they grow. And as Catherine was saying, there is the upfront code sprint, and that's where we sort of get them oriented. Obviously, different projects will come with different set of tools and infrastructure and things like that they need to know. And that's that first kickoff period is where we get them oriented and get them familiar with how, at least set them up to get started, right? And then at an ongoing basis, the mentors will actually work with the teams on a regular basis in an agile manner, pretty much to make sure that they are making progress, right? And at the same time to try to get to where they, I guess we think they should get to by the end of the term, right? So to make sure that they can contribute effectively and obviously in a meaningful manner. So that's what we will do. And in terms of the soft skills and as the things that we mentioned earlier, that would be what they would pick up as they go along, because we do see there will be a bit of a learning curve, right? But as they get familiar with the process, the infrastructure, or even the code base itself, things will pick up, and they would actually, by the end of the term, they would be pretty much be able to contribute in tangible ways and meaningfully to the project. So.
Maybe just a little thing that I might add here. Even though that the code sprint is the first, like, quote unquote real activity of a CANOSP semester, usually all projects, almost all of them, they would reach out to the students when we put them in touch once the students select the projects, and they would give them more resources, more documentation, maybe point them to certain like videos or other documentation where they would read those documentation before they start the semester, or get some training before they start the semester. So the code sprint, even though it's the first real event of the semester, but many teams already reach out to the students and schedule meetings with them before the code sprint to get them up to speed. So, but again, like, one of the goals that we have in CANOSP is exactly giving them that opportunity to train in soft skills like project management and communication, in hands-on with technical tools, software continuous integration, and GitHub use, and so on. Because even if they use it in their regular course load or course projects, they don't use it in a real-world setting per se. I'd like to say it. So it is their chance in CANOPS to do so in a relatively more real-world kind of environment, and still with a great mentorship that we have seen and we have found so far from the project mentors. Like, students really like that kind of experience.
Yeah, and Kareem and Jeff have made it the program very easy for open source projects to participate, right? So you just fill out a quick form to indicate your intention if you want to collaborate or participate in the program, and then while there is certainly a commitment from the project mentor standpoint, from the projects to have mentors available to work with the students at a periodic or ongoing basis to get them going, right? But at the same time, it's not too bad, actually, and it's been mutually beneficial on both ends. We're glad to give back to the schools and students to help them, I guess, get themselves involved in open source development, right? At the same time, also from a project standpoint, we benefit from their activities or contributions, right? So it's been great from our standpoint. So.
Yeah, for sure. And Jeff and Kareem, correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the students we've had the pleasure of working with have been sort of near the end of their degrees, usually like third or fourth year. So we do find like they're quite confident in a lot of the soft skills, and they've used a lot of the technical skills needed, especially things like GitHub.
Yeah, that's true. Most of them are usually in their senior or maybe junior year, so they do get some training throughout their different programs from different institutions. Their mileage may vary, but like most of them would have at least seen and used some of these tools and technical skills throughout their courses.
Yeah, and I think we are coming up on the hour, but thank you again for having us. It's been great, and definitely check out the CANOSP program. Again, that's canosp.ca.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.